listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. I'm just looking for some of the icons that I need to look for here as I get started back. We haven't had a show for, the last 4 days because last show was Friday and we missed Monday due to technical difficulties, meaning our internet was indeed down. We had no internet. It was a problem with the provider. They had to come in. It was an infrastructure thing where they needed to change out the whole wiring coming in from the building. There was water damage. There was rust. And so just no internet. So it is what it is. It's fixed now and we're back and all is good. And so speaking of all being good, we're joined by our co-host this morning, Nick Gervais. How you doing this morning, Nick?
Good morning, Aaron. I'm pumped. I'm having a wicked day. I'm looking outside. It looks like it's going to be a great day. We're going to find out when you're sharing about the weather. And also, I want to say, it seems like your place has internet issues often. So I'm glad to hear they've changed the wiring because it feels like that was necessary.
You're exactly right. That was the problem. So it was like every once in a while it wouldn't work because of that issue. But now they changed the whole wiring and technically it should be good to go from now on. So
isn't it cool or ironic that there was water damage and then they noticed, we should change everything. And if the water damage wouldn't have happened, maybe they wouldn't have changed the wiring. So it's kind of like I see these silver linings that these horrible situations end up happening, but then good things happen right after,
No, that's exactly right. I feel the exact same way for the exact same reasons. And now it's fixed. So yeah, something that was bad now turns into be good. And we should not, I fixed one problem we had before by getting a different modem. So that fixed the problem. And now the main problem is fixed. So we're good to go. So Vin, good morning. I hope you're doing well today. Also, David, good morning. Stay safe. Glad that you're with us today. Hope you're having a great day, that you're back, and that we didn't lose y'all through not being on the last couple of days. Good morning, Judy. Hope you're having a good day as well. And yes, thank you. Welcome back, and welcome back to you as well, Vin. So what do you think, Nick? Should we get started with some weather?
Let's go.
Let's do this thing. All right. We'll be back with some weather right after this. And just to let everyone know, we are live on CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU.ca, Facebook.com/Sudbury News, YouTube.com/Sudbury News. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, and mainly, like we just saw this morning, comment because this is your show on your station. We're doing it for you. We'll be back with some weather right after this. All right, Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. For all things Sudbury Weather, visit SudburyWeather.ca. Currently, it is -6 degrees, feels like -14, and there's no weather alerts. That was weird the other day. You remember they had this huge weather alert that was going to be, all this snow, 50 centimeters at first it said, and then it said maybe 25 to 30 centimeters, and then we didn't even get a centimeter after that. So I'm glad, and I did say I was praying that we didn't get it, and so I'll have to just say thank you for answered prayers that it did not happen. So today, mainly cloudy, 30% chance of flurries early this morning, periods of snow or rain showers beginning near noon. Local snowfall amount of 2 to 4 centimeters. The little bit windy, not much, and the high of +3. Tonight, periods of snow and rain showers changing to periods of rain and drizzle. This evening, wind moderate and temperature near +4. My goodness, it's going to be warmer tonight. Thursday, cloudy, rain, ending in the morning, 40% chance of showers in the morning. Clear in the afternoon, and the high will be +5. That is on Thursday, which is tomorrow. Friday, so far, forecast is for to be sunny, +3, and then Saturday, -1 and a 6% chance of flurries, 40% chance of flurries on Sunday, high of +6, and then Monday, cloudy, +2, Tuesday, 6% chance of flurries and high of +2. So, but don't pay any attention to the weather because it never seems to end up the way that the forecast is forecasting. But anyways, you got to do it just to give us an idea, and sometimes it's right. It's not always blatantly wrong, but that storm, it was forecasting to be like Armageddon. It never happened, but I'm glad it didn't. So either way, sometimes we're glad the weather forecast is not 100% right. That's your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with a little bit of sports right after this. Sudbury Sports, brought to you by that Sudbury Sports guy, Randy Pascal's website, sudburysports.com. The Five getting done as of late, beating the London Lightning a couple times, and now they are in first place overall in the entire league. Congratulations to the London Lightning for losing against the Sudbury Five. The other day I said the Lightning were in action as if they were a Sudbury team or something, but it is what it is on live radio. Sometimes you do make mistakes. The Five are in action tonight against the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans in Kitchener-Waterloo. That game goes ahead 7 o'clock tonight. See if they can increase their lead in the NBL altogether. It's the NBLC. The National Basketball League of Canada. First place. Just wanted to say, good maple syrup temperatures if the trees ever release it. And that's from Erica. Yes, that's about to do with the weather forecast for sure. I love maple syrup, by the way. So, they're also, the Sudbury Five are also in action back in town against the same Kitchener-Waterloo Titans here on Saturday. So if you want to catch the game, get your tickets. Go to sudbury.ca/tickets or visit the5.ca for more information on that. Also, the Sudbury Wolves. Wow, they got 5 of a possible 6 points over the last 3 games. They've been playing very well. Great goaltending, great offense. They've been getting her done. So they are in action in Barrie tomorrow night. So, and then they're back in town on Friday. But the last game they had against the North Bay Battalion, I was covering it for the for CKLU because we have to make sure that everything, the technical aspect is working. So that was my job that night or that day on Sunday. Anyway, so the game's on and they're losing 4-1. So I'm like, oh my God, they're going to, yeah. So I just kind of dozed off. Sunday afternoon nap. And the game's in the background. Anyways, I wake up and all of a sudden it's like, 3 minutes or a minute left in the game. David Bowen's got the call and he's like, the North Bay Battalion almost scored. And he said, they almost won the game. I said, almost won the game. They've been winning the game. It's like a blowout game. And anyways, so they said the Sudbury Wolves came back from 4-1 deficit and tied it. They went into overtime. The Sudbury Wolves then lost the game. But however, to come back against a team like North Bay, they were down 4-1 and tied and then go into overtime. My goodness, the Sudbury Wolves are playing really great as of late. Again, 5 points out of the possible 6 in the last 3 games. They're in action tomorrow night against another tough opponent, Barrie. We'll see if we can do the same thing there. And then they're back in town on Friday. It's sponsored by Northbury Hotel at the Sudbury Arena. And they're facing off against... Who are they playing? I should know this. Anyways.
When is this?
It's Hamilton. They're playing Hamilton because it's going to be a game where they can, if they beat Hamilton and they could move up in the standings. They could finish about as high as 5th in the OHL. So they're playing Hamilton this Friday, and then they're off to the Sioux for the last game of the year, I believe, on Wednesday. And yes, good morning, Julia. Thanks for being with us this morning. So what were you saying, Nick?
I was just wondering I was looking at their schedule and see when I'm going to get some tickets because I want to go check them out. Because
so the last game, last game of the season before the playoffs will be this Friday night against the Hamilton Bulldogs right here. Tough. It's going to be a crucial game because
this Friday?
Yeah. Last game of the season, and then they are in the playoffs. They clinched a playoff spot, so you will be able to see some more Sudbury Wolves. At least 2 more games, but that's about it. That's all you're guaranteed in the playoffs.
Okay, so I'm going to get my tickets, but it's so funny. I'm trying to find that information, and I can't find that information.
Yeah, you go on Greater Sudbury Tickets, greatersudbury.ca/tickets, and you can buy tickets for any event at the Sudbury Arena. So that's you can definitely get them online.
Okay, I'll check it out. All I'm seeing is April 1st. That's all I'm seeing.
Oh, it's for the 5.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Well, maybe that's I wonder if it's sold out. I don't know. Hopefully not. They said if you have vouchers, you have to use them up, and you got to go before the game. If you have any vouchers for a free game or whatever, you got to get to the box office early and cash them in order to use them. It's the last time you could use them this season. So that's a message from the Sudbury Wolves, right from the horse's mouth.
I'm even on the 5 website, and the next game they're talking about is Sunday, March 19th, which already went, then March 22nd, then April 1st.
Yeah. Well, they're playing tonight as well.
Tonight?
In whatchamacallit, in Kitchener-Waterloo. And then they're back in town on Saturday against the Kitchener-Waterloo
Okay,
Titans
Saturday.
Well.
Yeah, no, not seeing any of that. All right.
Oh, interesting.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. You're looking at it in real time. All right, so go ahead.
We get spoiled, you expect to see something and it's just click, click. And when it's not, you're annoyed.
Sometimes you got to dig. Well, that is your Sudbury Sports, brought to you by that Sudbury Sports Guys website, sudburysports.com. We'll be back with more headlines, a Nick, and all your all's comments after this. All right, so welcome back. We are here with Nick, and we're going through headlines. And my my Facebook page is acting differently today. Not sure why. Facebook seems to do this quite often. They change things up the way things work, and I'm not sure why. I just can't get it the way that it was. Not sure. They need a sidebar, a really big sidebar for some reason with things that I don't need. I'm not sure why it's there. I have no idea. So I'm just going to do this. There we go. Finally. Oh my goodness. It's still like the same way. You got to be kidding me. Okay, let's try this. Let's try that. No, it's not going to.
It's normal on my end.
Yeah, no, I can't full screen it. So it has like 2 bars. It has a sidebar and then your news feed. I want my news feed to take up the whole page, so when I show it on the screen, it's not cut in half. And it used to be able to do that as of yesterday, but today it's no longer able to do that. It is what it is. Let's see if I can.
There's so much going on.
There's too much news. Tons of news. So let's just go through. Sudbury.com does their stories to start your day kind of thing, and just pick up on the sports theme. You have the Canadian mixed doubles continuing this week. Curling, if you're into curling. We had a bunch of curling tournaments for the college and university just this last week. It was really great. And now you have the mixed doubles going on here in town. So there's, fun. Yeah. So if you're into curling, it's going on at the Countryside Sports Complex. Get out there. It's a little different game, the mixed doubles, compared to the the regular curling that you might be used to, kind of thing. So, all right. So the Wright murder trial, or the Renee Sweeney murder trial, however you want to word that, has been delayed because of a couple jurors, or a juror tested positive for COVID-19. And so they haven't had anything since like last Wednesday. It's set to go ahead tomorrow. Set to go ahead tomorrow.
You can jump on a plane now. If you've tested positive for COVID, you could go on a plane.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah. Anything hospital or courts, anything government, hospital, courts, they're really going to take this thing to the limit, kind of thing, right? So.
Right.
It was adjourned March. So let's see here. So in the second-degree murder trial of Robert Stephen Wright, the jury did not enter the courtroom at all yesterday. The court was adjourned at 10:30 as the discussion occurred in voir dire. It is covered under the publication ban, meaning Sudbury.com can't report what transpired. The court was adjourned yesterday before any testimony could begin as a COVID-19 outbreak swept through the jury. An outbreak began on March 16th when the first juror tested positive. The wording even of that is interesting, right? If someone was to come in from another planet and read this and not know what we've gone through the last 3 years, they'd be like, oh no, an outbreak went through. That must be as dangerous as could be. An outbreak swept through the jury. It began on the 16th. The first juror tested positive. The other jury members, I wonder what that means. Like, were they sick? Did they just have it? Like, what was it? How much damage did that outbreak that swept through the jury do? The other juror members,
right,
who had been in close quarters throughout the trial, were told to self-isolate through the weekend. Those who tested positive contacted the courthouse. The exact number of positive jurors was discussed during the discussion and can't be reported. The court was adjourned to allow the jurors to isolate for 48 hours. Court will resume on Wednesday, March 22nd. So that's today. I thought it was tomorrow.
Right.
But it isn't clear. No, it actually is, I think, still adjourned till Thursday, I read. Anyways. Did you hear about that crash that was in McRae Heights the other day? I think it was Monday.
No.
So it looked like a single vehicle just kind of crashed, and they had to divert traffic for like a good part of the day around it. So go through all the residential area of McRae Heights to come out the other side to go towards Sudbury or towards the valley. Anyways, They thought at first that it was it happened at 6:50 a.m. on Monday, and it was thought that it was just an SUV that just kind of crashed for no reason. But later, it was found that it was a result of a collision. The driver of the SUV lost control onto oncoming traffic and struck a hydro pole. The driver was a 46-year-old man and sustained life-threatening injuries, was extracted from the vehicle by Greater Sudbury Fire Service prior to being transported to the hospital by Greater City of Sudbury Paramedic Services. But they believe there was a transport involved as well.
Yeah, I see that. There's like a picture of a transport. I don't know if it was from like a traffic camera or something.
Yeah, looks like that, yeah. So they're looking for that particular... I can't show the picture because my Facebook is all stupid. I really don't understand why it's closed yet. Why it's acting like this. There's no reason for it.
Yeah, they're saying Sudbury police are looking for a transport truck and its driver believed to have been hit by an SUV on Monday. So everyone thought it was a single vehicle collision. SUV and transport truck, we with just the cab and no trailer. So there's no trailer on the transport. They're traveling north on MR80 around 6:50 a.m. So if anybody has any information, to definitely contact the police station.
Holy
Wow.
Yep. Crazy, eh?
The driver of the SUV, this 46-year-old man, sustained life-threatening injuries and was extricated from the vehicle by Sudbury Fire Service prior to being transported to the hospital.
Yep. Yeah, that's the news. That's what happened, and they're looking for the dude now in the transport.
All right.
Still can't get this to work. I'm not sure what the heck they did to the page. They probably saw the show and went, wait a minute.
Yeah.
We can solve that one. Okay.
I don't know
so back to
the next we're talking about, because there's so much to talk about.
So how about the Skeed residents push back against proposed fire station closure? I'm going through the Sudbury.com's local stories of the day before we head into the other stuff, because they cover a lot of the stuff anyways. So Skeed residents plan on pushing back hard against the city recommendation that would see their fire station permanently closed, which, the public, is out to the public right now what's going on with these fire stations, right? That's what's going on. So they know theirs is slated to close. They blame the city for low volunteerism at the station, currently sitting at 1 member. So they blame the city for low volunteerism.
I was talking to a volunteer firefighter, and they said that the test is almost impossible to pass. Like, you have to be, it's just a very, very difficult test, and it looks like it's changed. It wasn't always like that. So that was interesting to hear from someone who is a volunteer firefighter. Of course, the department in Skeed wouldn't want it to close. Like, do you know how far Skeed is?
Yeah. Like how long it would take fire services to get there if they didn't have their own fire station, right?
If you live in Skeed, which my brother lives in Skeed, and he had a fire, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Half an hour, someone's coming with it, 25 minutes.
For sure.
Your house is gone.
Now, it says that the residents blame the city for the low volunteerism. And again, that's the important thing of a show like this, is because then it just sits, well, why are they blaming the city? For what reason? Why is it the city's fault for low volunteerism? I can only speculate. One of them could be their vaccination policy. Remember, we had Natalie on the other day, and she said something like 40% or something of the volunteer firefighters left due to that. And so she asked that question, right? So that is a huge reason. And now that's resulting in closing fires. So it shows you how one policy like that, and it's the same thing with our medical system, because they have that mandate. If you don't follow it,
mandate? Like, if we're following the science has proven that it can be very harmful.
Well, Cliff is talking about, when we were talking about the jury situation at the courthouse with the Renee Sweeney case, the wording, like in the Sudbury.com article, is designed to spread fear and panic. That's been the case since 9/11, when the media realized how much dollars fear generates. Yeah, I believe you're right on that one too. Good morning, Monique. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Hump day, as they call it. So yeah, the proposed closure joins various other planned consolidations and relocations put forward in a report the city's elected officials are currently mulling over, which we talked about earlier, and which will be the focus of a series of community meetings expected to begin in early April. Under the plan, the Skeed Fire Hall would consolidate with Falconbridge and Garson at a new ideal location in Garson.
Ideal location, everyone. Except if your house is burning down, which I've had a fire at my house. My garage went up in flames, and we had fire. We had the fire department there within minutes.
Yeah, no, for sure. And
within minutes, our garage was completely done. It was finished to the ground. That was within minutes. They arrived within minutes of the call.
So that's how, that's how fast a fire could really, and that's why we need them as close as possible. And we live in a society where we pay such high taxes. You would think that something like that would be possible. However, Ward 7 councillor, speaking of Natalie Labby, tabled the 417 name petition, and growing, by the way, from Skeed residents earlier this year, which aims to save their fire station. Resident Nicole Everest started the petition and argued that although the ongoing emergency stations review focuses solely on buildings, it carries much broader implications. Yes, that's true. Also towards the amount of volunteer firefighters who, if you're not vaccinated, you can't be a volunteer firefighter, so that you have less of a pool to draw from, which is the case with PSWs, which is the case with nurses, which is the case with, so many other first responders and, professions that we really need in our society.
Like, do they not care? Like, it's just so confusing to me. Like, you are the medical experts. You follow the science. That was the whole slogan before this all happened. And now the science is out, but nobody's talking about it. It's not being shared anywhere. Now we have a problem of lack of nurses, lack of PSW, lack of fire department, but we don't care. We want you to be vaccinated.
Yeah. Well, because everyone else was, right? So everyone else was, we had to do it. Why are we going to allow them back now that they didn't do something we were forced to, and I didn't even want to? So let's just keep this thing going, kind of thing.
I guess so.
It's possibly one reason. Good morning, Denise. Thanks for being with us today. I hope you're having a great Wednesday. So this is the next headline in there. Oh, we'll continue to talk about the fire station issue. It's gonna, they're having public meetings and things all through April. They're looking through it, so we'll be talking about that and maybe have Natalie back on the show. And we should be reaching out to other counselors as well, as per Natalie's suggestion, to get their points of view on that issue and others as well. Here's one that we would definitely want to talk to many counselors about. Opioid overdose deaths in Sudbury, Manitoulin were higher in 2022.
I wonder why.
Recent numbers published by Sudbury Health Unit show that opioid overdose problem had improved slightly a year ago, but have proved deadly throughout most of 2022. This is based on data provided by Public Health Sudbury and districts, the PHSD. That sounds like something that you catch, PHSD. Anyways, and the community drug strategy through its opioid surveillance program. Preliminary data from the PHSD showed that from January through to the end of November last year, in 2022, there were 97 residents of Sudbury and Manitoulin districts who died from an overdose. 97 residents. They didn't die from an overdose, from a opioid-related death. They died from an opioid death. So that's a pretty solid number that you can track compared to the amount of effort we put into the pandemic related deaths. If we had just people who died from COVID and compared it to the people who died from overdoses, I bet you the overdoses are more. But because they can tie in to the statistics related deaths from COVID, the numbers would be higher. But if you just stripped away the people who died from cancer, but while they died from cancer, they tested them just before they died and they were COVID positive. So they died from a COVID related condition, even though they died from cancer or diabetes or a car accident or suicide. They were COVID related deaths. So if you get rid of all the relatedness and you just look at specific, they died because of COVID and COVID alone, they would be lower than that. So our opioid crisis is much, much worse than what we've been spending so much time and effort on.
And it's saying that these numbers are just from January to November. I'm not sure why they didn't add December to these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So the final count could be higher once the final numbers are provided.
Well, then it would be, unless nobody died in December, which probably more people than ever would have died in December. because that's the time when people are depressed, people are, alone more. And so that number would be over 100. Maybe they just didn't want the number to be over 100 for some reason in the media. I have no idea. I'm just speculating. I have no idea. So that's just a thought. Okay, Cliff says, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. In 2022, there were 439 visits to the emergency department for confirmed opioid overdoses. That's insane. Oh, but then it says in 2021, it was 636. This was a decrease in 31%. But maybe they just stayed on the street and died instead because we have lack of police officers and support and help. I don't know.
Who knows? I know Vin's saying it should be the COVID response deaths rather than COVID-related deaths. And his nephew died in December. So that would definitely be, unfortunately, sorry to hear that, Vin. But that would definitely be, there'd be more than that as well. So we're over 100 people in the area dying, which is way too many.
Way too many.
Yeah, the final death count could be higher once the final numbers are provided. Could be higher. They are going to be higher. The numbers translate into a local annualized mortality rate of 51.1 deaths per 100,000 last year. Significantly higher than the comparable rate for all of Ontario. So we are higher than the average rate in Ontario, which is only 16 deaths per 100,000 per year. So we're very much almost 5 times more, at least 4 times more. Yeah.
It's saying the comparison from previous years in Ontario overall is 115 visits per 100K. We're at 309 visits per 100K.
Yeah, way too many.
That's insane.
That's very much higher than the norm. And I don't know if that could have anything to do with the relocation of people experiencing homelessness from greater centers, that they're shipping them here to Sudbury, which we now have confirmed that is the case. And then if they passed away here due to an opioid overdose, they were originally from a larger center but shipped here and then died. So that, who knows what percentage of the population or of the data is from that background. So Vin is saying that his nephew was on the mend, doing great, but fell off the wagon during Christmas holidays, just like we talked about, because that is a tough time for many, many people.
Yeah, Christmas time's a hard time. It's all like triggering. You meet all the people that triggered you as a child or whatnot, and you're just reminded of, maybe you're alone and reminded of all the things, and it's just not a good time for a lot of people.
Now back to the no, it's for sure. It's challenging time. So Cliff, back to the fire topic, was saying that there was a fire in Hanmer a couple decades ago, just near your place, that led to a huge uproar about the response times, because it was determined that the fire department took way too long to arrive, and that was possibly one of the reasons for the fatality. I guess everyone conveniently forgot about that. Cliff's remark on that. And then Cliff again, there was a local guy that posted that he had gone into the COVID testing center but got tired of waiting around, so he left before getting tested. A few days later, he got a letter telling him he tested positive. Oh my goodness, that's funny.
No joke. I have a consultant in my downline. She works at a clinic, and every day they have to test. And she goes up to the doctor and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I tested positive." And he says, "Which box did you use? These boxes?" He's like, "Oh, don't use those boxes. Use these boxes." And that was like early COVID times. And I was like kind of freaking out. She's like, "I can't, obviously, I'm going to lose my job." But this was a real life story. And I was just like,
Yeah, so many questions. And there's, like you said, Nick, we now have had 3 years to look back. And I think there has been many, many experts, if you want to use the word experts, and we have data. and there's experts who can analyze data and look back at things and really kind of unpack how effective, first of all, how dangerous the threat was to begin with,
Yep.
and how effective our response was to it. And did we overshoot the mark of our response in any way, shape, or form to teach us in the future of things to avoid doing, because they had more harm than benefit by shutting down our economy, for one.
Yeah, Bill Gates is talking about that vaccine in our food supply solves the problem of vaccine hesitancy. So, well,
Oh,
yeah.
really? They're putting vaccines in our food now?
Well, they've been talking about it for a while. He's been
Oh.
talking about it, that it, to help the animals not get COVID,
Yeah.
they need to be vaccinated. We need to protect the animals.
Okay, so the animals themselves, which then we eat, so that's not like they're processing the food and then putting it in there, kind of thing.
They're
Okay.
vaccinating.
Okay, good to know. Well, this is just annoying me to no end, this whole Facebook thing that I can't make it larger. And they just change the way it functions out of the blue for no reason. There's, along with the Renee Sweeney case, there's been another case going ahead where a lawyer in town
I saw that.
was charged with sexual assault, and he's now facing his trial. So at least I can get this to be somewhat big. Even that's a bit of a problem here. If we can get that up on the screen.
A Sudbury lawyer of sexual abusing at a Christmas party more than 2 years ago says she never gave Adam Castonguay permission to behave the way he did. Under cross-examination by defense lawyer Stephen Proudlove, the woman went over what she said had happened on the night of November 12th, 2020. Castonguay had pleaded not guilty to sexual assault choking, and assault causing bodily harm.
Yeah. And then they just found DNA as well. So they did the DNA a couple places on this person's clothing and determined it was his DNA. One of the samples was, it was him. The chances of it not being his was 1 in 1 trillion. So it pretty much, his DNA was on. Now, they can't determine how it got there. So I guess if someone was really crafty, they could have got his DNA from him and just put it on their own clothing and then, said it was his. You can't rule that out, but that's up to the trial and everything to determine that. But anyways, that the DNA was found on the clothing. It was 1 in 1 trillion chance that it wasn't his. And so
it's hard. These situations are hard because you hear stories of women, completely lying and making up stories. So people just always question things. And there's a question here. She stayed at the area and played pool with him. She was enjoying herself. And then that's when he forced himself upon her, like simulated oral sex over her jeans.
Yeah.
That's what it says in this document. But then someone says, well, why were you still there? If everyone else left, why are you still there? And it's just, why victimize someone? Like, if this actually happened, I should be able to stay somewhere and feel safe and at any time just say no. But so
it's not like she stayed there after the assault took place. She was there alone before. Now, many, many people, feel they can trust another person and as well as there's a policy that I adhere to, and that's not to be alone with a member of an opposite sex or a child, not because I am afraid I'm going to do anything or another person's going to do anything. It's just even the optics of that, or if someone accused me of doing something, they wouldn't be able to accuse me because I wouldn't be alone with them. Now, I do my best, and you can't always 100% of the time do that, but that's a kind of a rule that I've adopted because of, if anyone was ever to accuse me, I couldn't say that. I'd say, no, there was another person there at the time. So ask them or whatever, right?
The story gets a little bit more interesting. She said Castonguay told her that he liked her and wanted to pursue a romantic relationship. She said she informed him this was a conversation to have when they were both sober. So it looks like, he's a lawyer. I don't know what her position is. And, when someone likes you, if you it feels nice. So, yeah, okay, I'll play a game of pool with you. It's just me and you. Nothing's going to happen. And then something happened or possibly happened. We're not exactly sure if it did because it's not finalized. But,
For sure. Yeah. No, and yeah, we'll talk more about this as it goes on. So we got two pretty important trials at least going on at the courthouse that we'll keep on top of. Adam is going back to the story we were talking about when you were saying vaccination of animals. And he says that's why he buys from local farmers here in the valley, and at least you know what you're going to get.
Exactly.
So as close to natural as possible, and I'm supporting my community.
I love it. That's
Me
what
too.
we all need to do. I do the same. Yeah.
And you and I do that as well. And I'm sure we could do a better job or whatever, but we're doing it as well, buying our stuff locally. Speaking of the fire situation that's going ahead and the public discourse about that, we're also deciding on how much sidewalk maintenance we're going to have. And so the deadline is approaching to submit feedback for winter sidewalk maintenance.
Like just do the maintenance. Why do we need to have a meeting? If you're about to plow,
they want to possibly save money-ish stuff, like if they don't have to do as much of the sidewalk. So the City of Greater Sudbury is interested in hearing from the community about winter maintenance sidewalks. Under the current policy, all maintained sidewalks are plowed and sanded once a snow accumulates over 8 centimeters and or icy conditions have occurred. Based on feedback gathered from the community in 2021, the city drafted five winter sidewalk maintenance options. And it is asking residents to rank each proposed option in the order of preference. These new service change options include A, begin sidewalk plowing at 5 centimeters instead of 8. So that's an even better, more services.
Right, situation.
B, priority sidewalk winter maintenance on non-residential main routes. Okay, so the priority would be on non-residential main routes, like ones that people are walking to the bus, people are going into businesses, things like that would get priority. C, 24/7 sidewalk winter maintenance. Okay. There'd have to be more to this than just these headlines. I have more questions from just these, these options. I'd have to know more what these options entail. D, private-public partnership for sidewalk winter maintenance. So meaning you would be in charge of your little sidewalk part in front of your house, let's say, and the city would be in charge of like more public areas of sidewalks. And that's the way it was, remember, on my street. I had to go out and do my own little section when I lived in Sudbury. And then E, no changes. So if you want to vote for no changes, you could do that as well.
It's mind-blowing, Aaron. They want to save money, but we never see where this money goes. And it's just everything is getting more expensive. They make the worst decisions ever, but they always bring up these situations that they want to save money. But now there's these red light cameras. Who's getting that money? That's $320 or $350 a pop.
Millions of dollars coming into city coffers. Yeah. Yeah.
Where's that money going? Or this legalizing marijuana, that's probably going federal, but I don't know. It's just
but that's want to save money. That's the Canadian kind of socialized tax system, is all the money goes into a big pot and then it's just drawn from, and it's less transparent. So that's just the way Canada's set up in a socialism type governance model, as opposed to one where, like I was saying many, many times when I went to the States one time and I went to go on the highway and there was a toll similar to like when you go on a bridge. And I was like, well, why is there a toll just to get on the highway? And someone said, well, that all the money that you put into that toll goes towards the maintenance of that highway. And so that way if there's lots of people using the road, lots of money is built up to maintain that highway. And only the money goes to the road.
Yeah, it would be great that there's a website. We made this
Yeah.
much money. This is how much money we have, and this is how much money we've spent.
For sure.
It would be so easy to instill trust again. We just be
for sure
transparent.
Yeah. It's hard though. I don't see there's too many people that'll get their hands slapped, lose their jobs, face possible criminal charges if everything's turned transparent. It's like turning the light on in a place where there's cockroaches. As long as it's dark, the cockroaches can do what they're doing. As soon as you turn the light on, which is transparency, they have to then scatter into the dark places again. And
I don't like cockroaches, so I'm all game for lighting it up and
for sure.
Skedaddle. But that's the problem. We all know that that's the problem. That's why you're not showcasing the numbers. That's why that system is not like that, because there's a lot of corruption happening.
Yeah, but it's a softer, gentler, let the government, offer all these services because we care about the less fortunate. That's their sales pitch. We care about the less fortunate. So the only way we can do this is all these social programs. Let the government mother you and treat you like a mother and take care of you. But in doing that, you have to relinquish all your trust and all your power to the government in order to deliver those services. And then you have, you're taking a chance on a benevolent government who loves you and cares about you, as opposed to one that could turn into a sociopathic mother, alcoholic mother who, whatever, right? So there's a couple comments here. I know Erica, back to the farming thing, says that's why she has her own farm. She's able to kind of manage her own food. Thankfully, she's able to. I appreciate that,
Erica.
Yeah.
Send me an information about your farm if ever you're looking for customers.
There you go.
Your info.
And Nick wants to know more info about your farm, Erica. And then you can pass that to me. I appreciate that. Vin says, except now, then doing a provincial registry for hobby farms. They're doing a provincial registry for hobby farms.
Ooh, they want a data of all them people making their own food. And then they're going to come in and make sure that you're doing things properly and or shut you down.
He says he had a friend that bought and sold chickens, and she went to purchase last month and was told she isn't large enough to do business. So she was no longer allowed to purchase from them. Interesting. So Erica says they can go right ahead. The farm would need to comply. So, okay, here's a conversation between Vin and Erica here going on. So I'll just let that go. So Cliff's saying too many people say they're being transparent, but are busy fudging everything behind the scenes. That's the problem we have too. So we are given numbers from the city, but can we trust certain numbers too, right? Like they're saying, oh no, they'll just tell you we've taken in this many millions this year and our budget is this many millions. We know what the budgets are going out. They are transparent. However, the money coming in, not as transparent. We don't see exactly. We just take their word for it when they give us the lump sum. So Jeffrey says, LOL, while I agree with transparency, the attack on social and public infrastructure in favor of private is simply a matter of control. You want to grease your buddies' pockets, get a grip. Okay, good. I appreciate that. That's someone who's obviously a proponent of socialism, which I can appreciate because there are, we've lived in a really prosperous socialistic society for many, many years. We're just seeing now crony socialism, just like you mentioned, capitalism or privatization, which also goes bad. When humans are bad, it doesn't matter what system you have. If your heart is corrupt, your system will be corrupt no matter what it is, right? So
I also don't
appreciate
see a
your comment.
problem. Yes. I also don't see a problem with you giving your buddy the contract, but I see a problem with the government doing it. Like it should be everyone should have access to bid on a contract, and there shouldn't be a conflict of interest because even as an individual, or I have a government job, there's certain things that you can't do because of conflict of interest. So there's these laws in place for a reason. And if the person gets the contract, they get the contract. But if there's another deposit happening somewhere else, or the guy got a vehicle or whatever, or is constantly getting the same contracts, then that.
So Adam says corruption is to the Liberal government what water is to a fish. Again, right? Political. So I would say the same thing with the Conservatives getting in. Back to Jeffrey's comment here.
We're all corrupt.
If you're corrupt, you're corrupt. And even the system, you will then make the system, even if it's a good system, it will turn corrupt if the individuals are corrupt.
Yeah, you're a good person. You're part of the political game, and then someone buys you out.
Yeah. That can happen as well. So Cliff is saying, even in the case of putting in a well or a point at your house, you're actually supposed to apply for a permit with the city. Can't be using that groundwater without the city having their hand in your pocket. Yeah. True, we definitely are in an overregulated atmosphere here in the city, one of the most regulated cities in Canada, in one of the most regulated provinces in Ontario. Okay, so a couple more comments and then we're going to be closing out today. So Cliff says, referring to, the Hobby Farm Registry. For sure, yes. I believe Vin says he believes it was in 2014, 2015, the water bill went up because not enough water was used in 2014. And then it went up again in 2015 because too much water was used. I know they were back-to-back years. He's not sure if it was 2014 or 2015, but they were back-to-back years. Anyways, that is funny. I just find it interesting, and I appreciate Jeffrey's comment, so I hope that you continue to be on the show and continue to comment to show other points of views. Sometimes we can get in a bit of an echo chamber, and it helps us to, because a lot of people will say, I heard you say this, and then they interpret what you said to mean something. And when I say something against socialism, I'll talk just as critically about crony capitalism as well. Now, Winston Churchill has been coined as saying capitalism, it's democracy, capitalism is the worst system he's ever seen until you see the alternatives, kind of thing. So, our world, which consists of good and evil people, good and bad, trying to govern ourselves as good as we possibly can. We've had it very good in North America for the longest time in history of having it good. We've had it very good. And so we're going to start seeing cracks in that as history repeats itself. And people don't really appreciate where it came from and why we've enjoyed the freedoms and, the peace that we have. We're just due for some not so peacefulness times. Yeah. And that's what we're going to be witnessing the fall of what we've been enjoying for so many years. And you can look to the banks a little bit, what's going on with the banking system, with the social breakdown of people being polarized the way they are. But on this show, we do not want to do that one bit. We want to have the conversations of hot topics that are hard topics to talk about. And that's, we'll continue to do that. And with your comments, appreciate your respectful comments there, Jeffrey, and others. So thanks for commenting today, everyone. And thanks. We got through the show, but we didn't get through all the news stories, Nick.
No, we didn't.
But we did our best.
We did our best. And that's all we can really do, Aaron, is just do our best. And that's why I like when other people comment, because it helps me see the different perspective. And that's what it is all about being human. It's okay to change your mind. And I was telling my girlfriend, when I share my opinion now, I kind of want to say today, I feel like, because it can change tomorrow. Because the more that we have this conversation, the more we learn and educate, the more your opinions can change about whatever situation's happening.
Right.
And just because my opinion was a certain way one day doesn't mean that it's not going to change. And so many people are afraid to change. Oh, I've been this way this whole time or my whole life. And you feel less than or a hypocrite if you change your mind. You're not a hypocrite. It's just called we're evolving, we're adapting, we're trying to survive.
And we want to basically, be a positive, help our community be as positive as it can be and not as broken up and polarized, and be able to get everybody in and have a vibrant community. And I believe we can do that. And I believe this is one way to do that. And so thank you very much. I know you feel the same way, Nick. So.
Yep. And we can love each other and have different opinions.
It's true. So are you on the show tomorrow? Yeah. You're going to be in the studio.
Yep.
With me. We'll be live in the studio tomorrow. So we'll catch everyone then. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to all your comments as well. Vin says we need a longer show, which I do agree. And we will in the future as things progress. And Cliff has one last comment there. So make sure to look at it in the comments. Love you guys. Appreciate you. And we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU 96.7. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.